What is up, everybody? Ben Johnson here, and today we're talking about camera angles. My goal is that by the end of this video, you'll feel confident in where you're placing your camera so that you can crush it on your videos. Let's go. Alright, welcome back to the channel. As mentioned before, today we're talking about camera angles. Also, huge shout out to Soundstripe for sponsoring today's video. If you guys are in the market for some awesome music that you can legally use on your films, definitely check out Soundstripe. I'm going to walk you through 3 steps that will help you feel confident in your camera placement so that you can crush it on your videos. When considering your camera angle, it is crucial to choose the right lens. If you choose too close up, it can be awkwardly uncomfortable. So I prefer and recommend to use a wider lens. Anywhere from the 16mm to the 35mm range is great. Personally, I use a Sony 20mm 1.8 lens. If you want to learn more about this lens and why I think it is so awesome, then you can check out my full review video here. The other thing to consider with your lens is aperture. This controls how much light is let into the lens as well as the overall depth of the image. If you don't know what aperture is, or maybe you just want to learn a little bit more about video camera settings, I've actually created a free, super simple camera settings guide. It will help you go from shooting auto to manual in minutes. I'll go ahead and place a link in the description. I prefer prime lenses because they have faster apertures, which means they let in more light and give you more depth. In this case, my 1.8 lens has a faster aperture, which allows for more background separation, giving that blurred out look. This is great because it isolates me from the background and gives a little bit more of that high-end professional feel. Once your lens is decided on, it's time to walk around your space and decide on the shot. 3 of the main things that I think about while I'm doing this are the rule of thirds, leading lines, and negative space. The rule of thirds is the process of dividing an image into thirds using 2 horizontal and 2 vertical lines. While shooting and composing, walking around the space, I like to turn on my rule of thirds grid guide. In photography, if you place your subject on one of the intersecting points of the rule of thirds guideline, it will create a more natural looking image. However, for YouTube videos, I would recommend placing yourself into the middle third section with your eyes hitting right along the top horizontal line. This makes it really easy for your viewers to find you and connect with you. Leading lines are lines that appear in a photograph that have been framed and positioned by the photographer to draw the viewer's eyes towards a specific point of interest. I look for leading lines in bookshelves and desks and pictures and walls to see if there's anything that will help draw the viewer's attention to me, the subject. Negative space emphasizes and defines the main subject of a photo by drawing the viewer's eye to it. I love negative space so much. It's one of the best tools to use when composing your shot because you have to remember a lot of times less is more. If you have a super messy, super cluttered background, it can be a little overwhelming for the viewer and they won't always know where to look or what to focus on because there's just too much going on. If your background is crazy and cluttered, I'd recommend trying to redecorate a little bit or just simply move to a different spot where there's a cleaner wall that you can choose what's in your frame. Once you've started using the rule of thirds, leading lines, and negative space to your advantage, then it's time to talk about placement. In the realm of YouTube videos, there's 2 types of placement that we're going to be talking about: subject placement and camera placement. When I say subject placement, I'm talking about your position relative to the camera. Try to position yourself close to the camera while following the rule of thirds guideline. And going way back to earlier, remember the type of lens that you're using. Because I'm using a wide lens, I'm actually able to get very close to the camera. Not only does this make it easy for me to reach around and control things, but it also creates more background separation. Now, if you're using something like a 50mm lens, you're going to have to position yourself further away to maintain that rule of thirds look. So be aware of what lens you're using and adjust accordingly. Camera placement. The position of where the camera is relative to the subject/scene. One of the main mistakes that I see people make when they're starting out is where they're placing their camera relative to themselves. A common thing I see is people will place their camera way too low and angle it up, and then we're just staring at your chin. On the flip side of that, sometimes people will place it way too high and point it down, and then we're just trying to have a conversation with the top of your head. What you want to do instead is to try to line it up eye level. Once you set it eye level, you can take it one tiny step further by raising it up just an inch or two above eye level and angling it down ever so slightly so that it still feels like we're having a conversation with you. It's just a slightly more flattering image. All right, everybody, that's going to about wrap up this video. I hope you all have enjoyed this and found some value from it. If you are interested in what type of gear that I use, or maybe where I get my music or my video effects, I've placed a ton of links down in the description as a resource for you. Before you guys leave, make sure to like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always, stay creative. Peace.